Yo, 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 peace and richest blessings. Welcome back to the Burnell Washburn podcast. Sending you all the love, all the good vibes. It's such a beautiful day to be alive. I'm feeling so blessed, so grateful. And I wanted to come on here and share some fresh inspiration with you while it's fresh on my heart. Last night I had the best sleep that I've had in a really long time. And just amazing dreams. And that was after like 2 nights of just like terrible sleep, just like both nights I just could not sleep, tossing and turning all night, not feeling good, waking up feeling tired and nervous system and body just haven't had a chance to heal. So I was like trying to work out and I could barely even do like a single push up and just my body was just like, no. And then last night I got really good sleep and I feel like I'm on top of the world today. You can probably even hear it in my tone compared to maybe some of the other recent episodes of just how much more vibrant and energized I feel. So sleep is just so crucial for our mood and our health and our well-being. A lot of entrepreneurs and people brag about how little sleep they need or how little sleep they get, and they just play in themselves. If you haven't listened to my sleep episode, I have actually 2 episodes about sleep. There's one that's like more recent, probably number 30 something, around that range. That's just all about the science of optimizing your sleep, and I give lots of really valuable tips to actually help you improve your sleep. So definitely go listen to that episode. It can absolutely change your life if you haven't listened to it yet. Even if you have, you might want to check it out again, because sleep is 1/3 of our life and we spend very little time trying to optimize it or improve it or be good at it. It's like we spend so much energy focusing on how we're going to be in the other areas of our life, but then we don't even really think that much about our sleep. People don't invest that much into like nice sleeping stuff, whether it's blackout curtains or a mattress they like, or essential oils, or the right foods, and or just even the habits and the time. Like, people don't invest that much time in getting quality sleep, and yet it's one of the most important things. It's like 1/3 of our life and it deeply impacts the other 2/3. So optimizing your sleep is crucial. If you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go check it out. I don't want to go in too much further on a tangent about sleep, because that's not what this episode's all about, but that episode is definitely a must listen. So optimize your sleep, do yourself a favor, do everyone you love a favor by taking your sleep seriously and optimizing it to the best of your abilities. So that being said, I woke up today just feeling amazing, because last night before I went to bed, I actually set the intentions way earlier in the day. I said, tonight because I didn't sleep good the 2 nights previous. I said, okay, tonight I'm gonna sleep really good. I just know it. So I set that intention, and that's one of the things I talk about in the sleep episode, is just setting the intention. And I set the intention for certain parts of my body to heal. My back was really sore from playing with my daughter and doing all this crazy jumping park stuff. And then just set the intention that this part of my back would heal during my sleep, and sure enough, it did. And I set the intention that I would have amazing dreams, and sure enough, I did. And I did my whole nightly routine, making my tea, cleaning my house, getting my situation ready for the next day, barefoot grounding, tapping, and it was a full moon last night, which is partially, I think, a big reason why so much beautiful energy came in. But I just had all these amazing dreams. Like, I remember like waking up like 3 or 4 different times, being just so stoked on the dream that I was just in. One of the dreams, all I really remember was hanging out with my mom, and I like ended up at my grandma's house, and I just gave my mom like the biggest hug ever, and it was her birthday, which in real life her birthday was like a month ago, but for some reason in my dream last night it was like her birthday, and we were like celebrating it together. And she's so humble and sweet. She like wasn't even like acknowledging that it was her birthday necessarily, but I gave her a hug, and I just remember her like grabbing my other hand and like squeezing me even tighter, like pulling me in even closer and hugging me for extra long. And after this really long, amazing hug, I woke up and realized it was a dream. And I go, oh my gosh, thank you, Mom. I love you. Because, she died a few years ago. And it's beautiful to see her and still get to hang out with her and still get to enjoy her company in dreamland. Whether that's actually our souls actually connecting, or it's just a figment of my imagination and a mental projection of her, I don't really know. I really feel like it's a visit. It feels just as real as hanging out with her in real life or with anyone. Most dreams don't feel like dreams. You don't know you're dreaming until you become lucid or until you wake up and think about it and go, oh, wait, that didn't actually happen, or that couldn't actually happen, or whatever. And then you realize it was a dream. But during the dream, it feels just as real as waking life. So that was beautiful. Then I had another dream where all I really remember was like seeing my homie Jay Ross, who's like a reggae artist from Northern California. And I only see him a couple of times a year when we go on tour together, or do some shows together. And he's one of my favorite people. And I just see him. He's got the dreads down past his ass. I just see him in his long dreads and just run up and give him the biggest hug ever. And that's all I really remember from that dream. But then woke up feeling absolutely incredible with his songs stuck in my head, just like good vibe music, because he makes really positive, uplifting hip-hop, reggae type stuff. And it's Jay Ross, if you haven't checked him out. He's really dope. Check him out. J-R-A-S, or J-R-A-S, Jay Ross. Or you can look up Jay Ross Soul Lifted and you'll find him. Really dope. So shout out to Jay Ross. It was dope to see him in my dream. Get that loving hug. And then the part of the reason, the other dream I had that kind of triggered me to record this episode, because that's kind of what this whole episode is about, was such a profound thing. And I really believe that our dreams are teachers. My homie Dave Brewer, who's actually one of the speakers at the upcoming Quantum Vision workshop, he told me that, and I think he heard this from his yoga teacher or something, but he told me, if you remember a dream, then it wasn't a dream, it was a message. So I've had a lot of profound dreams, and when I wake up really remembering certain parts of it, I don't take that lightly. I'm like, okay, this is my subconscious communicating with me, or this is God communicating with me, or universe, same thing, whatever. And I really lean into it. What does that mean? What is it trying to tell me? What do I need to learn from this? How can I implement this or integrate this into my waking life? Because I don't believe it's just like random ass dreams for no reason. If there's a certain animal in my dream, I always look up, what does it mean to see a bear in your dream? And then there's different websites and books that you can look at, and they'll have different meanings, and you can, figure out what resonates with you and what feels like it was right, So different dreams are always telling us messages that we need to hear. And if you remember them very profoundly and clearly, then you probably needed that message. So I don't take it lightly. And when I have, because the night before, I was having these traumatic dreams. I was awake, my dad was freaking out at me, all mad at me. And it's funny because I see my dad once a year now, and I still have dreams multiple times a week where he's really upset with me. And it's just so funny how my subconscious is programmed so heavily from a young age to just be super fearful of my dad and just never feeling like I can please him. And there's so much forgiveness, healing, and childhood healing and shadow work and things that I'm working on, that I have been working on heavily the last few years. And on a mental level, I feel like I've forgiven him mostly and let go of a lot of the pain. But then it keeps coming up in my subconscious, in my dreams. And so it's really gnarly. I'll wake up feeling stressed or feeling sad or feeling, this certain type of way, because I just had this crazy traumatic dream where, maybe I was getting chased or running from something, or someone was hurting me, and or my dad is freaking out at me the whole time, and I'm, crying and da-da-da, and all of those, I feel like it's like I can take it as just like, oh, I'm having shitty dreams, this sucks, or I could take it as, ooh, okay, this is still in my subconscious, how can I work through that? How can I make peace with that? It's like another way for me to learn and grow and work things out while I'm asleep. So even the quote-unquote negative dreams can actually be a huge learning experience, and huge growth can come from that. But anyway, last night I set the intention before I went to bed that I was going to have amazing dreams. And I did. I had that dream with my mom, then I had that dream with J. Ross, and then I had this other dream that was super profound where I was at a music festival having an amazing time. Everything was just fucking clicking. All the homies were there. Everyone I loved was there. The weather was perfect. We were all camping out. Amazing artists were coming on, like having the time of my life. And I ate a bunch of mushrooms. And I started tripping pretty hard. And it's crazy. I've actually taken psychedelics in dreams like multiple times, and it feels just like you're really taking them. It's really weird. It's like a psychedelic trip within a dream, which is already like, it feels like a psychedelic trip to begin with. So it's a crazy thing. But I take these mushrooms in my dream, and I'm tripping, and I'm having a great time. And then I go to, I think we were actually staying in like a cabin or something, and I come out of the cabin and I go to like our car or a van or whatever it was, and I was just trying to get my coffee out of the car, and next thing I know, I think it was a van actually. The next thing I know, the van like starts up and we're like mobbing somewhere away from the festival, and it felt uneasy and uncomfortable. Like, where are we going? We're going away from everything that I love and everything that's awesome. Like, why are we leaving? This is weird. And then I was like in this middle of nowhere, feeling kind of uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, homie's like, uh-oh. And like we start feeling like the tire messing up. And sure enough, blowout. We get a flat tire in the middle of nowhere in like a super, super small town. And we pull off onto the side of this little neighborhood, and we go up to what looks like it's like the cutest house. Like, it's like really tons of flowers and just nice vibes and nice garden and stuff. And it was all painted green, and just like I just really vividly remember this house that we pulled up to. And we go knock on the door asking the lady if she has some tools that we can borrow because we got a flat tire and we need to fix it and get back to this festival. And she was being kind of rude to us at first because we looked like a bunch of, hippies or whatever. And then somehow I kind of like won her over with some charm, and she started being sweet to us. And because I think I was like, well, we picked your house because you looked like the nicest person in the town lived here because your house was so cute, and da-da-da. And she that made her smile, and then she got us some tools. And as we were changing this tire, like, all of a sudden I had to start doing some other type of work. You know how dreams are. They're just really random and weird. All of a sudden I'm, like, unloading all this stuff out of this truck. And I'm doing hard physical labor while my homies are, like, changing the tire. And I'm basically, quote-unquote, like, blowing my high by doing all this stuff. I thought I was going to be at a music festival dancing and partying, right? Now I'm in the middle of nowhere in some town with some strangers doing really hard physical labor, and I'm tripping nuts. And I look across the road, and there's this dog that is literally the size of Clifford the Big Red Dog, but it was white and fluffy, and it was like the size of a house. And it's walking across this person's yard, and it's like as big as their house, and I'm tripping nuts, and I'm like telling, like, do you guys see this dog right there? And my homie's like, shut up, dude, the lady's gonna know you're tripping. Sure, she's going to think you're crazy or something like that. And so I just kind of like, whatever. And like, I kind of like was upset that we were not at the festival doing this work. And we were doing this work instead of partying and having fun and feeling like, oh, I wasted this like amazing mushroom trip on this weird excursion of like not where I wanted to be, not feeling necessarily comfortable in the present moment and just feeling off, And then all of a sudden, it clicked. I heard Ram Dass's voice say, "This is it. This is it." And I just burst into ecstasy, bliss, heaven on earth, complete joy, biggest smile, and I just scream and I was just like, "This is it. This is it. Right here, right now. This is life. It's not some future time that I'm waiting to enjoy." And I just had this like epiphany, like right here, right now, chopping water, carrying wood, like literally doing the hard physical labor in a place that I like didn't think I wanted to be. This is the magic. Meeting this random lady in this small town that I wouldn't have met, like, and it reminded me of how divine everything is and how perfect everything is, and how like when you fully embrace and accept what is, you just open up to the magic of the present moment rather than trying to think that things should be a different way. Because we should all over ourselves all the time. I talk about that a lot, you know. Anytime you're thinking things should be different than the way they are, you're causing unnecessary suffering, because they can't be different than they are. You know, they are the way they are here in this moment. And if you accept that and embrace that and fall in love with what you have right here, right now, that's when you tap into your power, you tap into the magic, you know. And I realized, like, it's not about, like, you know, being at the festival and having fun and partying and all that. That's a great time, but I can have just as much bliss and ecstasy here changing this tire, doing this random work. I feel like we were doing labor for this lady or something in exchange for her helping us with a tire. I don't even really remember. But the bottom line is, I realized in that moment, like, that this was heaven on earth. This was bliss. Like, the monks have a saying. They say, before enlightenment, you carry water and you chop wood. After enlightenment, you carry water and you chop wood. So a lot of times we think that life is about these blissful major moments, like the wedding date, or the selling the business for $100 million, or the Grammy Award, or the, you know, all those big milestones and stuff. We're almost kind of just like on autopilot in between, like hoping we get to these big mile markers and stuff, instead of fully just embracing everything. Like, when you are vacuuming your house, that is a divine experience. This is it. Right here, right now. You can experience heaven on earth vacuuming your house. And I've been bringing that into my life. Like, I'm bringing the mindfulness and the presence and the grace into every moment, where like every moment can be a blessing. It could be a miracle. It can be magic. It can be heaven on earth, if I just become fully present and acknowledge it as such. Perception is reality. So when I'm sitting there thinking, I don't want to be here changing this tire, I just want to be back at this festival, I'm resisting what is and causing suffering. But as soon as I realize this is it, I had more fun doing that labor and changing that tire than I probably would have at the festival. I was blissed out, heaven on earth, like so much joy just vibrating through my body. I just lit up the entire neighborhood. Like, everyone around me got instantly stoked on life because my frequency raised so much, because I fully embraced and accepted what is, you know. Like, I was listening to this podcast by Aubrey Marcus the other day. If you haven't checked out the Aubrey Marcus podcast, you probably should. You might stop listening to mine because his is so much better. No, I'm just kidding. We're both super, super dope in our own ways. But no, Aubrey Marcus is the truth. Really dope podcast. I was listening to one of the most recent episodes called Sex Your Way to Source, all about tantric sex and mindfulness. And because I've really been getting into all that lately. And I heard this quote that sounded funny at first, but she said, like, she was talking about anal pleasure and how, like, that's like the whole nother level of bliss and ecstasy, like, you know, versus like just your normal orgasms or whatever. She was like, an anal orgasm is like the highest level of, you know, she was going off on that, and I'd never really played around with that too much, so it was a little bit out of my comfort zone, I think. But I heard her say, like, you're not enlightened until God is in your asshole. And thought it was funny at first, but then I really started to sit with that idea of like everything is divine, everything is God. Taking a shit is a divine experience. Cleaning your house, a divine experience. Everything, everyone, there's no such thing as like this is holy and sacred and that other thing is not. Like, even like I was compartmentalizing so many things. Like, I would, for example, I'd go out into nature and be like, this is divine, this is God, but then look at Babylon and society and all the flaws of society and be like, no, this is not divine. Like, nature is divine, but this is like some parasite on the divine. And then I started realizing, like, no, everything is divine, everything is God. Literally, like, the toilet is just as a divine, sacred place as the meditation pillow is, or the yoga mat, or the Himalayan caves where the monks meditate. Like, all of this, everything, everything is one, everything is divine, everything is bliss. And I also, it's funny how I had that epiphany on mushrooms in my dream, because I had this similar epiphany on mushrooms in real life like several years ago. I remember tripping, having a good night, tripping at my old office. I had like an office building with a couple studios in it and stuff, and we were chilling, making some music, and just having a good time on mushrooms. And I think we wrote like a really dope song that night. And I walked outside, and I took a sip of my coffee, and I almost started crying, because I realized this is it. This moment, sipping this coffee, is just as magical and just as amazing as like winning a Grammy would be, or the biggest accomplishment that I could ever imagine. That's cool, but it's all about the small things. Like, I really had that epiphany, in real life on mushrooms, of just like, the little things are the biggest things. When I leave this physical plane, it's going to be like the silliest, littlest things that I miss the most. It's not going to be like all these things that I thought were like the huge deal. It's like, that time I was just, sitting on the porch looking at the sunset, or, you might miss random little things. Like, I miss cleaning my house, or I miss doing the laundry, or, just things that you wouldn't think are like important, that are just mundane, like whatever autopilot type of tasks, can actually be some of the most meaningful, pleasant parts of life that we'll look back on and miss. And this may sound weird to some of you, may not, because you guys know that we're a little bit out here, but I talk to dead people. Sounds funny when you say it like that, but I have been a medium my whole life. I've been able to contact and talk to spirits that have passed on, that aren't physically here in front of me, since I was a little kid. Through dreams, through just visions, through meditation, through animals visiting me, all sorts of stuff. And again, that's not something I can prove. It could be projections in my own imagination or whatever, but it feels pretty damn real a lot of the time. And I felt it being an empowering belief that serves me well, to believe that I have this connection. And whether or not that's true or false doesn't really matter. If I find out some science later, like, every time you've ever thought you were talking to a spirit, here's actually what was happening in your brain, and da-da-da-da, like, okay, cool. But I choose to believe that I really am and connected with other beings, and it feels real. And it doesn't really matter if it's real or not. It's real to me. So I talk to people that have passed on, and often they'll tell me things that they miss, and it's like random, like they just want to give someone a hug, or they just want to grab coffee with someone, or they want to just go like, color or do something super random. Like, it's not like they miss like, I really want to be in a physical body again so I can go like end world hunger and win a Golden Globe award and da-da-da. It's like, that's all this stuff the ego wants in the physical material plane. And not to say any of those things are bad to want, But on a deeper level, we really crave the simple things, the small things or the big things. So I wanted to share that with you to remind you to just be here now, become present in every moment, and milk the magic. Soak it up. Really, really be here. Don't just be here, like really be here. And really soak it up and recognize the small things are some of the most magical parts of life. So don't just like autopilot through them. Really soak them up and enjoy them and realize how beautiful and temporary this experience is. There's things that you're frustrated with right now that you'll look back on and miss 10 years from now, 50 years from now. You'll look back and almost miss some of the things that you might be struggling with super hard right now that you wish you could just end the struggle with and be good on. You'll look back and be like, that was kind of fun when I was dealing with all that. Like, I always thought it was weird. My mom told me like one of her favorite parts of her life was when she was in college and like got her first place by herself, and she could like barely afford to pay her rent and barely getting by, and she was working 2 jobs and da-da-da. And she would talk about that being like, she like almost looked back on those struggles like nostalgically, like, oh, I miss my old shitty car that, you know. And it's like when she said that, she was driving a pretty nice car, and she missed her old like little $500 dinker that she had in college. So it's interesting to just have those perspectives when, you know, the things that we think are so important are really not as important as all these things that we just like disregard and we act like they're not important, you know. So the small things are the big things. Really be present and enjoy it and embrace where you're at, accept where you're at. Like, it was just such a moment when I was doing that work, really feeling out of place and not wanting to be there. And then all of a sudden I realized this is it. Well, like Ram Dass told me, this is it. Right here, right now. You can have just as much fun, if not even more fun, doing this work in this random small town than you could back at that festival. And it really reminded me it's not about the circumstance. It's not about the external. It's not about the situation. It's about the perception, and it's about your mindset and how you choose to be, how you choose to show up in any given moment. You have the choice to show up and bring joy to any situation. Bring fun and vibrance and good vibes to anywhere you're at. And if you're in a situation like that you don't want to be in, like maybe that's the time when you really need to practice not being conditional. Anyone can be super happy at a music festival, doing what they love and having fun with their friends, but can you be happy? Can you be just as happy when your car breaks down? Can you be just as happy sitting there waiting for the bus as you could be on the day when you just bought your dream car, Lamborghini or whatever? You need to practice that, or we all need to practice that, of just like being less conditional with our happiness and our gratitude. And because of course it's easy to be positive and grateful and stoked on life when things are going our way. But if we can be grateful and happy and stoked on life no matter what, that's when we've mastered our inner reality, and that's when we become like that super God consciousness of just unconditional love and acceptance for everything. And that's when we resist our circumstances, we create more of them. When a life is going a certain way and we really think it shouldn't be like that, and so we're really upset and we're really resisting how it is and wishing it were different, we trap ourselves in that reality. Versus when we just like love and accept it and enjoy it and embrace it and make the most of it, that situation is not going to last very long. We're going to maneuver through it because we're shifting the frequency. We're using our energy and our emotion to change our reality. As soon as you change how you feel, you change what you're attracting and creating in the quantum realm. So I I just can't express that enough of how important it is to just embrace everything, enjoy the little things that don't seem like a big deal, realize those might be the biggest things that matter the most to you. And I even, I look back on like taking the bus with my daughter, even just last year when we didn't have a car, taking the bus everywhere. And it's like I even had that perspective during the times when I was on the bus, and I was really upset being on the bus. Like, I don't want to be out here in the cold. I want to be, wish I had a car, just like so bummed on where I was, feeling like I should have a car at this age, and I should be able to afford all this stuff, and look at all these other people having all this nice stuff, and how come I can't seem to figure that out for myself, and why do I keep struggling? I was asking all these disempowering questions, but then I kept shifting back to the positive perspective of like, this is actually fun. Let's enjoy this bus ride and let's make the most of it. And I know I'm going to look back on this as positive memories. I know when my daughter is in her 40s or something, I'll look back and cry. Remember when I used to take the bus with my little 4-year-old, and she just have so much fun riding the bus with me? And like, during the time, it might have felt like it sucked, but then I might look back on it just like, wow, that was some of the best times in my life. I didn't have shit. We were barely scraping by, on the verge of getting evicted, scraping change for the bus, and there's some of the best times in my life. So it's not always about, things going your way or things being ideal exactly how your mind or your ego thinks it should be. It's really more about embracing, accepting, and loving what is, and from that space, then you can change it. When I started, I swear, it's like as soon as I fully embraced taking the bus rather than resisting it, because like every single time we would take the bus, I would feel this low self-worth and feel stressed and feel anxious, whatever, and feel like just I'm not enough, or I'm, not where I want to be, and I'd have all this suffering that I would cause on myself. I swear, as soon as I accepted it instead of resisted it, everything changed, and I just got a car like that. As soon as I realized, I'm just going to have fun and enjoy the fuck out of the bus, because this is temporary. I'm not going to be taking the bus for the rest of my life everywhere I go, so I'm just going to enjoy it for now and appreciate it, and it's going to make me appreciate having a car that much more. And I just embraced it instead of resisting it, and then boom, got a car. So I think that's really one of the biggest keys to manifesting anything, is just stop resisting what is. Unconditionally love it. Forgive yourself for where you're at. Forgive everyone else for anything they've ever done to you, or just forgive, love, and embrace, accept, and then you can change it. But when you're resisting, thinking it shouldn't be like this, and this is not how my life should be at this age, you trap yourself in that. You put yourself in a vibrational frequency of this is what I don't want, and then all your attention is focused on what you don't want rather than what you do want. But when you come, like in my dream, is like instead of, I had all this resistance. I don't want to be in this car right now. I want to be back at this festival. I don't want to be dealing with this flat tire right now. I don't want to be wasting my mushroom trip on this experience instead of that other experience. And it was just not a good feeling. And then I embraced it and was like, wait, this is it right here, right now. And then boom, it was heaven on earth, total bliss, total ecstasy, and just so stoked on life. From a simple thought, a simple perspective shift changed my whole entire mood, and it thus creates a whole different reality for me. And I know that example's from a dream, but I have lots of examples from waking life as well, where I just embraced and accepted where I was, and everything got better. It's so much quicker, and I think that's really the key. Just love where you're at. There's no place that you're supposed to be other than exactly where you are. You're on path. Your success is inevitable. You're growing exactly how you came here to fulfill a certain mission, and you're doing that. Even if it doesn't seem like you are right now, even if it seems like everything's going to shit, learn to trust that this is the part of your journey. This is part of your journey. When I was down and out, getting my car evicted or my car repossessed, getting evicted and addicted to cigarettes, and homies are dying from overdoses, all that, stuff that you've heard me talk about, I knew that it wasn't that wasn't going to be my life. Like on the moments where I thought that this is my life, I was super depressed. But on the moments when I recognized the truth of, hey, this is just a temporary part of my story, I felt so empowered and inspired and strong. It felt like I could get through it. Because I would study successful people's stories and be like, okay, they were struggling super hard before they became successful. Or look at all these rags to riches stories. Or look at all these successful people that are just crushing it in life. And then they tell their stories of how shitty it was growing up. Or how they lost multiple companies. Or how, like, I can't remember the exact statistic, but there's more millionaires and billionaires that have been bankrupt than not. Like, most people that are really successful have gone through some shit. They've, even people like, I don't know, just like super, super famous, successful people that you would think just have their shit together. Like, they've been broker than you probably. They've been worse off in their health than anyone, like they've been through some shit. It's not all like sunshine and roses for everyone the whole path. Like most of us go through lots of ups and downs. So if you hear those stories, it helps you get through the times when you're going through the hard time, and you don't associate it with like, this is my life now. Because when things are going bad, we tend to think that that's how they're going to be forever. And then it's funny, when things are going good, we think, oh, this is not going to last. This ain't. We need to switch that. When things are going well, think, hey, this is just going to keep getting better and better. One of my mentors, Catherine Zinkina, the manifestation babe, always says the affirmation that the better it gets, the better it gets. I DM'd her on Instagram one time, like a year or two ago, and I said, hey, Catherine, things are going really well for me right now. I've seemed to have a really good last couple months, making more money than ever, and just things are starting to take off. But I keep getting scared that it's going to go away. I keep getting scared that I'm going to sabotage it, or it's not going to last, or, like, be making some good money, but, like, be terrified to buy anything that I wanted because, like, I'm scared this money's going to just dry up and then I'm going to be fucked again or whatever. And, like, I messaged her that, and she said, you have to develop the mindset and the belief that the better it gets, the better it gets. So since she told me that, I've been writing that down as an affirmation almost every day. The better it gets, the better it gets. And when things go really well in my life, I go, oh, things are going good right now. That means they're going to go even better. The better it gets, the better it gets. I started shifting that mindset versus, how people mostly are, which is what I previously mentioned, where we think, when things are going bad, they're just going to keep going worse and worse, and they're going to be like this forever. But then if they're going good, we're like, well, this is not going to last. So if we switch that around and start to have a positive, optimistic mindset, or anything that goes your way or goes well for you, fuck yeah. The entire universe is conspiring to help me thrive. Let's go. It's just going to keep on getting better. Today I woke up in a good mood. I'm on a winning streak. Oh, man, the rest of the day is going to get so much better. And then, damn, it's only Monday. This is going to be the best week of my life because Monday's starting off such a high vibe. And I bet Tuesday's just going to be even better than that. And then I'm going to go into Wednesday with all this momentum. And shit, by Thursday, I'm going to be on top of the world. Friday, I'm taking it shit to the moon. Let's go. You start to, like, really build some momentum in whatever direction that you're focusing on. And if you can just start to really embrace that, hey, things are allowed to come to you easily. Things are allowed to be fun and easy and exciting, and things are allowed to keep on getting better and better. You deserve it. It's safe for you to have an amazing life. It's okay for your life to just keep improving on all levels. It's okay for you to keep becoming healthier and healthier and wealthier and happier and more fulfilled on every level. That's possible, and the more you affirm it and install those belief codes, the more that will be your reality. And I really can't impress that enough upon you, like how valuable that mindset is. And I still haven't fully solidified that mindset because it takes a while to install new beliefs, I know Catherine has had that belief for years, and her life keeps getting better and better. For a new person that's never had that belief and might have momentum going in the other direction, you're going to need to install that belief code, and you're going to need to delete the old coding and, put the old software programs in the trash bin and empty the trash bin and keep running that new program over and over again until you get used to it and until that becomes like your main reality. And it's like when I type in the letter F on my Google, it just goes right to Facebook because I've typed it so many times. So if I type the code in my belief system of, hey, the better it gets, the more often I affirm that and feel that, the more easier my brain my brain just has an easier time thinking that. How I've talked a lot about that, how neurons that fire together wire together, myelination, the nerve cells in the nerve pathways in our brain and our whole body really actually become stronger and thicker through the process of myelination. The more we think a certain thought, the more it becomes easier and habitual to think that same thought or feel that same emotion. Just like walking through a jungle, the more you walk on the same path, the path gets carved out, and then it becomes easier and easier to walk down that path because, the first time you're chopping it down with machetes, and then after you've gone down that path for 10 years straight, now it's a nice clear path that you can get to that waterfall super quickly. So it's all about repetition, and, when you're installing these new beliefs and new habits, you just got to keep doing it, and your old codes will keep coming back up, and you have to keep reprogramming every time the old code comes up. That's the old coding. Let's go back to the better it gets. Sweet. And then you reaffirm the new coding, and over time it starts to build like a cycle that builds off of each other, and you just become stronger and stronger and get those neural connections, those neural pathways thicker, and then it becomes easy to think those certain things. Like Catherine probably has no struggle thinking that the better it gets. That's just how her brain automatically thinks now, because she's installed that code and activated that code so many times. That's just like habitual way for her mind to work. Versus, me, I'm taking a little while to install that code because I had like 20-something years of the opposite code. So it's rewriting it, reprogramming it, rewiring it, and embodying it through my habits. So anyway, I wanted to share that. This was going to be a quick episode, but apparently I am incapable of doing quick episodes because once I start recording, I just keep talking and talking and talking. And I love doing it. I love sharing these messages with you to have a chance to connect and conversate. I'm just walking around my house right now, touching all my plants and crystals, and recording this on my phone. And I had that thought of, like, I just remembered that dream last night of like, oh my gosh, I remember tripping nuts on mushrooms and seeing that big Clifford the red dog, but it was a white dog, and all of a sudden realizing this is it right here, right now. There's no place I'd rather be. Embrace everything it is, whether I'm vacuuming my house or doing my laundry or riding the bus or doing anything that I might not think that I like. I can bring full presence and full bliss and heaven on earth to that moment. It's like, it doesn't fucking matter what's happening around me. It doesn't matter what my external circumstances are. All that matters is my perception of them and what I choose. I can choose to show up as the healthiest, happiest, strongest, most beautiful, vibrant version of myself in any situation, regardless. I could choose to show up with loving kindness even when someone's being super mean to me. I can choose to show up with compassion and love and brain-heart coherence, regardless of the external reality. And a lot of us are playing from circumstance rather than possibility. We're letting the external environment and circumstances, which really are just a manifestation of our past habits and thoughts and emotions, and we're letting that just throw us around and keep us trapped in these cycles, and letting, all of these conditions dictate our moods. So we need to become unconditional with all of our moods. I don't need a reason to be grateful or happy. It's like this dream was just a beautiful, beautiful reminder of that. Because it's like, of course, it was easy for me to be blissed out, having fun when things were going how I wanted them to at the music festival, and I was partying with all my friends. But can I be just as happy or even happier when I'm changing a tire? If I can, I've mastered my reality, and that's what's up. So glad and grateful that I got to share that with you today. If you found value from this episode, go check out patreon.com/Burnell Washburn and consider donating or pledging $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford, to help spread this message and help impact more people in a positive way. That would mean the world to me, and to you'll just be doing a good service for everyone. Helps me and Ollie Sky keep the lights on, keep the internet running, keep the podcast hosted and all that. And helps me feel validated in this message that, like, hey, this work is needed, it's helping others, and you guys throwing money helps me just help more people, and it just spreads the goodness. So even if you can't throw money, you can help this thing in so many ways: by leaving a review, by screenshotting it and sharing it on your story and tagging me, by sending the link to a homie. Because if you got value out of this, then someone you know will get value from it too. And even if you share it and none of your people actually like click on it or whatever, it still helps the algorithm. Like, it still helps YouTube and the podcast, Spotify think that, hey, this Burnell Washburn guy is making content that people like. Okay, I guess we'll put it in more people's suggested feed. We're going to show these episodes to more people because apparently people are liking this stuff. Okay, it just helps the algorithms. And I want to get this message out to as many people as possible. We are sharing life-changing wisdom on this podcast. And, tons of people are eating healthier, meditating, working out, shifting their mindset, creating healthier habits, creating healthier boundaries with their phones, building better relationships, cold showers. All these things people are doing as a direct result of listening to this podcast. So together, we are collectively raising the vibration of the planet and contributing to the building of a new, more beautiful paradigm for all of us. So really appreciate anything you guys are doing or have done or will do to spread this podcast and just spread my work in general. It really means a lot. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Get out there and create a beautiful rest of your week. You absolutely deserve all the blessings, all the richest blessings. You deserve to have it all. You can be, do, and have anything. Embrace the moment. Be here now. Fall in love with your life. It's such a magical, beautiful planet that we're living on, and anything is possible, yo. Anything is possible. You are so much more powerful and so much more loved and appreciated than you'll ever realize. So get out there and enjoy it to the fullest, and I'll see you soon on another episode. Peace and blessings.